The Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship is about to draw the curtain down here on our Donington Park race meeting, the final race of the day, final race of the weekend. It is the 9th Ginetta race that we've covered over the course of the last couple of days. And well, hopefully we've saved one of the best till last. The Ginetta GT Championship have provided 2 eventful races so far, that must be said, although no one yet can stop Luke Reed, who has won all 6 of the races that have taken place so far this year and is now looking to try and extend that run to an incredible 7 in a row. He has been truly unstoppable. The Wolf Motorsport driver in his newly liveried Ginetta G56 will start from pole position. Alongside him, though, we will have Luke Garlick, and Luke Garlick in the Connor Garlick, excuse me, in the number 63 car, will be keen to try and claim a race victory for himself. We've got the GT5 cars on the grid too further back. That is where we find Luke Garlick, who had a mysterious spin in the previous race, but still managed to bounce back from that to claim a race victory, and with it pull now nearly 70 points clear in the championship. Well, for the final time this weekend is Andy McEwen, joined by Kai Bachin in the commentary box. Seen lots of good action from the GT Championship. Can anybody stop Luke Reed? I think at some point they can. It's not like he's got a massive pace advantage over the rest of them, but so far he just isn't making any mistakes.
No, not at all. Luke Reed has really been on top form this weekend, and you can't take anything away from him so far. And if he wants to go 3 for 3, I can see nothing stopping him. If he has the mindset to go for it, he really can go 3 for 3 this weekend. Luke Reed, the pace he's been putting down on the circuit, the racecraft he's been displaying this weekend, he's been an all-around perfect driver so far.
He has indeed, and I really don't see any reason why that should change in race number 3, but who knows? It's got a field of drivers behind him who, at times this weekend, have all looked as though they might be able to challenge, but almost have been too busy squabbling with each other. Connor Garlick there starting second on the grid, one of those, and he will be looking for a good start from the outside of row number 1. Here then is how they line up for our final race of the weekend. The Wolf Motorsport car of Luke Reed starting on pole position by virtue of winning the previous race. Connor Garlick, the runner-up, will start second for Zentek Motorsport. Carl Garnett will be third. Leona Theobald, despite damage sustained on a lap 1 clash in race 2, managed to finish 4th ahead of Sean Fleming. And then Callum Davis, who had a tiny bit of contact with Carl Garnett at Redgate, it broke the rear suspension, and he was a retirement. Colin White, likewise, after 2 bits of contact within a couple of corners on the opening lap. Then we have a gap in the grid for the GT5s, which are led by Luke Garlick. Karim Sekat came within a lap and a half of claiming a race victory, but ultimately had to settle for second. Lexi Belk in third, and Ella Lloyd, who's had the pace to run away with both races this weekend, but actually hasn't finished either of them, having been off the track in both. Sam Harvey, likewise, could have won the earlier race, but spun at the old hairpin. Pablo Jecquier, meanwhile, getting quicker and quicker and quicker this weekend. He will start next for Race Car Consultants, whilst Val Sidhu will be at the tail end of the field. Those are the 2 AM-class runners within GT5s. Pablo Jecquier getting what I think was his first class victory. Yes, it was. Receiving coaching from Cian Donaldson this year, who I was chatting to at length in the paddock earlier on. Cian, a former podium finisher in this championship, in Mazda MX-5 racing as well, not racing this year. In fact, he's about to begin studies to become a commercial pilot, of all things. So getting his speed fix elsewhere these days, Cian Donaldson, but he's still here this weekend and clearly making the difference, because it's the best we've seen from Pablo Jecquier so far this season. So cars then head down into the Melbourne hairpin. Green flag lap nearly completed. One more race to go. And well, I don't know what I'm more excited about here, Kai. I'm intrigued to see if anyone can beat Luke Reed in the GTP class, but actually, a lot of the good action, really good action, has been in the GT5s this weekend, and with Ella Lloyd proving to be a little bit accident-prone, I'm not really willing to put my money on anyone in that class.
No, I don't blame you at all. There's been amazing battles all the way through the weekend. Ella Lloyd and Luke Garlick, just to name two drivers that have been going at it all weekend long, and I cannot wait to see how it pans out here in the final race. But you can't. Oh, what's happened there? That looks like that was Luke Reed pulling off the circuit. Is there an issue there for the 26?
Well, there has to be. That's not where his grid berth is, after all. So he has deliberately pulled off the track for reasons unknown, but that surely this is a heartbreaking way for him to break this winning streak. Pulls to the side of the road. The marshals aren't exactly running over to see what the issue is. Are they going to start the race with the Wolf Motorsport car on the grass? I'm not entirely sure. We will watch the lighting gantry, I suppose. If the red lights go on, I guess we're going to go racing, but without Luke Reed, and that means that Connor Garlick is alone now on the front row of the grid. There is Luke's car. nothing obviously wrong, nothing hanging off it, no smoke coming out of it, no fluid evident as having been dropped on the track. Looks as though they are going to delay the start now so that the marshals can get over and have a chat with Luke, who you can see moving around in the car, sort of looking around at the marshals, who are going to push the car out of the way. But that is truly bizarre, Kai. I have not a clue what's wrong with the car. It's got no engine running at all, so it's just had a complete loss of power by the looks of it.
Yeah, and that's really weird to see. We saw no puff of smoke, no issues to indicate that on the formation lap. But either way, this race will start without Luke Reed. So all the hopes and dreams that we were going on about having a perfect weekend and the 3 wins to walk away with, he's only going to walk away with 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, perfect start to the season with all 6 of the races going his way so far, but now we are guaranteed a new winner in the GT Pro class. I suspect we'll get another green flag lap here because of that car having been pulled off to the side of the road. The car's been sat on the grid for a long time, and so all of the heat that they had generated in their tyres and brakes on the green flag lap now disappearing. And so I reckon we're going to get one more lap around the track before the race gets underway. But big drama there for Luke Reed, who sadly is going to be a non-starter. Well, that really does now blow this race wide open, doesn't it, Kai, as the second green flag lap does get underway? Because with no Luke Reed, I could point at 4 or 5 drivers now, basically the entirety of the GTP grid, all capable of winning races, even back to Colin White at the back of the field, who we've seen winning races in G55s in the past. Any one of them today, I think, could get their first victory of the season.
Yeah, there's a multitude of drivers that could very easily walk away with this win. I don't think it will be easy for any of them, though. I'm sure it will be very tight up at the front end. We've seen Luke Reed running away with the remainder of the races so far this weekend, but it has always been a very tight battle for second position, and that battle for second position is now going to be the battle for the lead.
Yeah, well, okay. Didn't expect this, and I'm gutted for Luke Reed. I really am, but there is a little part of me that is really excited now for what's going to be a fantastic battle, I'm sure, in that GTP class. No change in the GT5s. They all appear to still be running after that aborted start. And again, an interesting looking grid within the GT5 should guarantee some good racing action from the G40 shaped cars. It's the G56s in the GTP class, same chassis of car that we saw running in the GT Academy race just now. But these cars, the full race-prepared machines. And there is Lexi Belk, who's got a little mascot on board on the dash there, which she'll be hoping will bring her some good luck, although that particular mascot that she's got representing, if I remember the film correctly, weren't actually all that helpful. So I'm hoping that particular one is going to bring her a little bit of good fortune over the course of what should still be a 20-minute race. We're running well within time here. We've got an hour and a half before curfew. No reason to shorten the race too far, and the teams should have fueled the cars for an extra lap or so if needed. So I'm hoping we'll get the full race distance, and a fascinating race it will be, with Conor Garlick now starting on the front row alone, Carl Garnett starting what is now essentially second on the grid, and then Leona Theobald with maybe a chance at a podium. Have we had Leona on the podium so far? We haven't. So, you know, even drivers who maybe aren't gunning for an outright victory here, Kai, have got something to go for. Leona Theobald after her first podium of the season. The same true of Sean Fleming just behind her.
Yeah, and if you look further down the championship standings, it's actually very close between a few of the drivers in the mid-pack of the championship standings. And with them now being able to fight for more points available to them, that now opens up the floodgates to new drivers looking for higher positions.
Yes, because it's 35 points for a win, 30 for second, 26 for third. So the difference between finishing first and third is 9 points. So one car from the front of the field falling by the wayside, as has happened unfortunately to Luke Reed, gives a good opportunity for other drivers to score well. There is Luke Reed's car to the right of shot. Whether Luke is still near it, I'm not sure, but wherever he is, he's not going to be really looking forward to seeing the start of this race, because he plays no part in it at all. It's Conor Garlick on his own on row 1, as finally we do get our final round, our final race of the day underway. It's a poor start from Conor Garlick from pole, and Carl Garnett is going to get the advantage into Redgate corner. Garlick pulls to the right to cover, but that opens the door for Leona Theobald now to go around the outside. She doesn't quite manage to brake late enough to make it work though, so it's Garnett leading the way, Garlick in second, Theobald third, Davis fourth. That is then fifth position for White, isn't it, there into 4th position, as down the hill go the GT5s as well. And that is a class being led by Balsidou, I think, as they head into the old hairpin. The GTP cars make their way through the right-hander in a very orderly fashion. The same not necessarily true of the second class.
Yeah, drivers squabbling for position all the way through the order right now. I was just going through our shot there. That's the 10 and the 28. That's Seka and Lloyd both going at it. If you look further down the grid, Lexi Bell trying to get herself involved in the battle, but she just in front of her has Luke Garlick, who's already gained multitude of positions, and Lexi Bell just being hung out to dry there, as losing a couple of positions, just going up the hill, gonna lose one more, and now finds herself at the back of the pack and in last position of the class so far. So she has a lot of work to do if she wants to get herself back up to the front.
So the good luck charm not bringing her much good luck at the moment. We've had a lead change as well in the GT5s, I think, although actually they're 3 wide almost into the chicane ahead. It's Ella Lloyd from Sam Harvey now from Karim Sekat, who was the driver I spotted in the class lead briefly, not Balsidou. He's down to 3rd. Now that's Leona Theobald around. Leona Theobald spun down at the Melbourne hairpin, and she rejoins right in front of the GT5 cars. That was near calamity there. Balsidou losing out further back to Pablo Jekie. That was for the AM class lead, remember, because Sidou had got ahead of Pablo at the start, and we ride on board with Lexi Belk, who runs right behind those two, but a very close call. This is what happened to Leona. Big lock up on the way in, couldn't get the car stopped. Around she went, but actually it was the rejoin that nearly caused the most damage.
Yeah, it was just a difficult situation there for Theobald, as you can see up at the front, and it's still very close there between those drivers. That was the number 19 of Garnett out in the lead right now, and Connor Garlick going at it once again. We've seen these two drivers battling for 2nd position before, and now that battle is amplituded. This is now the battle for the lead, as Connor Garlick is still going at it. You can see Carl Garnett just about holding on right now. You can't discount Davies, though, in behind. Callum Davies doing a good job to maintain himself in 3rd position. The number 95 has a little look as we go up the hill. Doesn't think to go for a move just yet. And just about holding on to his position right now is Connor Garlick. Connor Garlick definitely in the most difficult position right now, as he needs to be on the offense, worrying about how to get past, and also needs to be on the defense, worrying about the car behind.
Yeah, this race then panning out exactly how I hoped it would, with these three once again proving to be very evenly matched on pace. Very aggressive run over the curbs there for Connor Garlick in 2nd place. And so he looks to the inside now of Garnett into the Melbourne hairpin, late on the brakes. There's a gap on the inside, but Garnett sort of rolled off the brakes there, I think, to carry as much speed into the corner as possible. They lean on each other on corner exit, but that was pretty much fair enough. No major damage done. And in fact, Garnett will hold on to the lead into Goddard's corner. Callum Davis, the blue car in 3rd, was the man with whom Garnett clashed in the previous race. Out wide at Goddard's goes the race leader. They're all scrabbling for grip, scrabbling for traction onto the pit straight, and look who's joining the party now. Colin White will be relishing the chance to fight for a race win, and he's almost there with them.
Yeah, fastest lap on that previous lap there for White, as he now arrives onto the battle of our top 3. Obviously, he is able to take normal racing lines, normal racing speed. He doesn't need to worry about the drivers in front affecting him, as he's still arriving onto the back of this battle, and he will definitely has the most momentum out of all 3 of them when he arrives into this battle. But out in front, Carl Garnett definitely has a lot on his plate right now, and he's doing a great defensive job to keep Connor Garlick at bay.
The hill they go, through Schwant's curve, into the right at McLean's, and Callum Davis jinking out of the slipstream there, but he wasn't really close enough to commit to a move through McLean's corner. I repeat myself, again, I really do feel sorry for Luke Reed, but his demise has created the best GTP race of the season so far. This is fantastic action with 4 drivers on top of each other at the front of the field, and Carl Garnett trying to fend them off from all sides. Alongside him goes Connor Garlick. That's the outside line, though, down towards the chicane. Who's late enough on the brakes? It's Garnett later on the brakes. As long as he gets the car stopped, he should hang on to the lead. Out through the gravel goes Garlick, and here comes Callum Davis, sweeps through into 2nd position, and White might also have a go on the brakes into the hairpin.
Yep, White trying to go the long way round at the Melbourne hairpin. He's definitely going to hang it out, but a great job there on the inside from Connor Garlick just to hold on to that position. Parked it on the apex, so there was nowhere to go there for White. Did nothing else that he could have done about that one. Going very deep once again. Is that a preferred line, or is that another mistake made there by Carl Garnett? We'll notice as the race goes on, but he's glued to that inside line there. He's not going to give Davies a little sniff of the inside line. He'll have to go the long way round if he wants to make the move stick so far. But look at this battle still in the background for 3rd position right now. Connor Garlick still has a lot of work to do if he wants to fend off White.
Yeah, Colin White looking for the better exit from Redgate, couldn't quite nip up the inside, and so the order remains Garnett from Davis, from Garlick, from White, with Sean Fleming some way distant in 5th, and Ella Lloyd 6th overall, narrowly ahead of Sam Harvey, right on cue. There they are, the top 2 in the GT5 class, nose to tail, and Sam Harvey proving that he's well up for the fight here. Ella Lloyd, in the earlier races, I felt had the pace to run away with the victories, but ultimately wasn't able to finish. This one, though, Sam Harvey asking all the right questions of her. Sam has had 3 second place finishes, 1 third, wants a race win. So too does Callum Davis. He's gone past Carl Garnett and Conor Garlick somewhere on this lap, and Callum Davis leads them now as they head towards the chicane.
Callum Davis, a good job to make his way past Carl Garnett there. Carl Garnett now under a lot more pressure as White tries to make his way through. He can't get it done as they go down into the S's. And with a new race leader, it's all switched up. Carl Garnett goes from the lead all the way back down into 3rd now as Conor Garlick also manages to get his way through into 2nd position. Garlick seemed to be on the back foot just a couple of laps ago, and now he finds himself back in 2nd. He's the hot charger and he's on the hunt.
Well, they do say, don't they, it only takes 2 cars to make a motor race. This might not be the biggest grid of Ginettas we've ever had assembled here at Donington Park, but my word, are they providing some good racing. Here is a replay of how the lead changed. Callum Davis with a better exit there from McLean's, just managed to nip up the inside at Coppice, committed to the move, and Garnett had no choice but to let him go. Conor Garlick then taking advantage of that loss of momentum from the number 19 car, swept through into 2nd place as well, and he will now try to set off after Callum Davis. Meanwhile, Colin White wants a podium here if he can get one. Heads down through Hollywood, does Colin. He's had 1 third-place finish so far this season. That came yesterday in the opening race of the weekend. He sees a chance now to double up on podium finishes, and maybe if he gets a move on, he can go after the top 2 as well.
Yep, 100%. As you said, White still trying to get a move on as we look up to front end. A big lock up there from Davies, as that will definitely be detrimental to his momentum. And it looks like the front hood cover is hanging off the front of his car. I wonder how that's happened, because Davies definitely hasn't been involved in any contact anytime soon.
That we have seen. It is possible he's had a knock. Remember, that car did sustain damage in the earlier race as well. Maybe the hood hasn't been fastened properly. There are lots of potential reasons, but I think it distracted him, if nothing else, into McLean's, and again maybe through the chicane. He clobbers the curbs, and here comes Conor Garlick. He's got the run down the hill. Davis moves to cover, then sweeps back towards the racing line. Big lock up from the race leader. Straight on goes Callum Davis, and Conor Garlick back into the lead. I think there might be damage to the front of the Davis car. There's something wrong with the right front corner, and he keeps on locking that right front brake into the braking zones. Not so much here into Goddard's, maybe, but the car doesn't look terribly happy, does it? And the driver won't be either. Into the lead goes Conor Garlick then. 2nd place once more for Carl Garnett. It is then White in 3rd position. Colin White, whose name I've forgotten twice in this race for some reason. And unfortunately, Callum Davis off the podium with some sort of drama.
Yeah, Davis' car just looks to be squirreling around under braking that rear end or that front end, not happy at all with that car. We look back to what is the GT5 battle right now. Just leading that way is Ella Lloyd, has a little bit of breathing room back to Harvey in behind. Sam Harvey doing his best job right now to fend off Luke Garlick in behind, whose brother, Conor Garlick, is in the lead of the GT Pro class. So both the brothers doing a great job to be on the podium steps right now, but I'm sure Luke Garlick will be looking to improve on that as they go down towards the first corner of Redgate.
Now remember, these two are both teammates at Zentek Motorsport. They both spun whilst fighting for the lead in the earlier race. The official line is that they made contact. I'm not convinced they did. Either way, it cost Sam Harvey a chance of a win. Luke Garlick was able to bounce back and claim the victory. This, meanwhile, is the fight for the AM-class lead within the GT5s. Number 21, the race car consultant's machine of Pablo Jequier, just for the time being, managing to stay ahead. Right, down into the chicane comes the GTP field, and still no closer, really, to figuring out who's going to win this race. It does look good for Conor Garlick, though. He's starting to stretch the margin as Colin White now forces Carl Garnett to drive defensively into the Melbourne hairpin. This is holding up Garnett, it's holding up White, it's holding up Davis, and it's massively benefiting the race leader.
Yeah, Conor Garlick just walking away right now as he's managed to pull a substantial gap over the drivers in behind. Garnett, White and Davies all still battling for that 2nd position and looking to be walking away with what looks to be quite a great advantage that he's been able to gain from this. Let's see how much he has been able to gain. 1 second is now the gap that Conor Garlick has to back to Garnett in 2nd position. Now, does White try and work with Garnett to catch back onto Conor Garlick, or do these drivers continue to battle for 2nd position?
Yeah, this G56, much more of a GT-style car than the G40, one of which is in the gravel, and it's Pablo Jecke from the lead of the AM class, and that is at Coppice Corner, I think, isn't it? Lots more gravel on the road, a part of the circuit that was already starting to resemble more of a rally stage than a racetrack, and there'll be even more gravel by the time the marshals have hopefully pushed Pablo's car back onto the track. They're not super heavy, these G40s. There is a chance they can hoik it up out of the gravel and get him going again. Into that yellow flag zone go the race leaders then, and well, that's a real shame for Jecke, who was in fact battling with Karim Sekat, not Balsidou, so Balsidou wasn't really close enough to challenge for the class lead, but he now inherits it anyway.
Yep, so a big change there in the GT5 battle for the championship lead. So Balsidou, after having a non-finish earlier, it looks like it's Pablo Jecke's time to have a non-finish. We go down towards what is going to be the hairpin down the bottom end. Number 63, Conor Garlick, still leading the way right now, and safety car is out, since that car is in a very dangerous position to try and get recovered.
Yeah, they couldn't get it out. The recovery vehicle would have to go very close to the edge of the road, and that's something that we don't like to see for obvious reasons. And so the safety car is scrambled with 8.5 minutes to go. Now, it shouldn't take them long to get the car out. They'll have the recovery vehicle heading for the scene already, I would imagine. They've got Pablo Jecke, well, actually climbing out of the car. I thought he might be staying in to help with the recovery, but no, he is getting out. And, well, hopefully this will only be a short delay. We had a similar situation developing in both classes, though, with race leaders starting to build a bit of a cushion. Conor Garlick was a second and a half or so up the road from the rest of the GTP runners, and Ella Lloyd has a similar margin over Sam Harvey and Luke Garlick in the GT5s, but both of those gaps will now be eradicated. And whilst we're not going to have a huge amount of racing laps to be done after this safety car, it could just inject a bit more life into the lead battles as Pablo Jecke storms away through the gravel trap. And, well, that is an unfortunate way for his race to end. He's really not happy with something, whether that's himself or another car. I'm not entirely sure. But Pablo, I think, really ruining that opportunity that's gone now for another class victory. He's been making some big, big strides forward this weekend and really just needs to keep his head up. Easier said than done, I know, Kai, when a good result goes begging. But the fact that he's up there fighting on merit now for class victories is more than could have been said a few weeks ago. So progress being made, just needs to keep that head up and push on again at Silverstone.
Yeah, progress aplenty. I mean, he just has to walk away from this weekend and try and take the positives from the races that he's had so far. Obviously, one class victory. He's got to be very happy with that he's now challenging up at the front end with Balsidou in the GT5 AM class. So as obviously the season continues on, he'll just get better and better, and that's what he needs to try and walk away with. Jecke, he just needs to look back on what he's done well, what he hasn't done so well, and what he can improve on going into Silverstone.
Looked there as if the GT5 cars were still racing. They're not. They're just trying to catch up to the back of the safety car queue because, of course, until they do, Ella Lloyd is not going to give away that 1 and a bit second lead that she had until she physically can't go that quickly anymore. And actually, they might not fully catch up because the lights are out on the safety car, as I hoped and suspected would be the case. The marshals have done a brilliant job once again to get those cars out of the way, or the car out of the way, and we are going to go racing after just 1 lap behind the safety car. There'll be about 6 minutes on the clock, and Conor Garlick now needs to execute a perfect race restart here, with Carl Garnett keen to stay as close as he can. It looks as though Garlick's already hit the loud pedal heading out to the Melbourne hairpin, pulls a car length or so over Colin White. They won't quite catch the safety car before it bails for the pit lane, so that was a decent initial restart from Garlick, although he runs very wide at Goddard's, and that little advantage he built initially perhaps now disappearing.
Yep, and Conor Garlick maybe just went a little bit too early. We've seen that he's been good on the restarts in the past, but maybe now Garnett is just about able to jump him off the restarts now. He's managed to figure out what he does off the restarts there. Does Conor Garlick as he heads down the hill now towards the old hairpin. To saying that, he does still have quite a bit of breathing room as well. About half a second now separates those two drivers. Conor Garlick gets a great exit there out of old hairpin, but I can tell you what, Garnett is not under, he's not under any sort of fresh air at all, as White is all over the back of the number 19 machine.
Missed the GT5 lead then. Sam Harvey not quite able to stick with the class leader. Big lock up there from Leona Theobald as she went through McLean's corner, and she fell behind, of course, Sean Fleming after that spin in the early stages. This does, though, allow her to catch back up to Sean, having dropped a long way back after that lap 1 spin. Right, leaders down the exhibition straight. Garlick looking reasonably comfortable. The battle really is on for second, though. Colin White fishing around behind Carl Garner as he tries to find a way through into P2. Very circumspect through there for the race leader, though, really trying not to exceed track limits, Conor Garlick. But actually, Garnett is even slower down the hill. White up the inside. Colin White for second position. Surely now he's on. He's got the overlap. He's got his nose ahead. He'll close the door on the exit. And Colin White, is he through? I think he's completed the manoeuvre. He's not moving across to the inside line, though, as he must feel that Carl Garnett might still have an overlap, but he doesn't. So White goes second, Garnett down to third. Now, has Colin White got anything for Conor Garlick?
Yeah, another big lock up there from Davies in the background as one driver backwards coming out of the corner. That's the number 66 there. And if we look, that is going to be Sean Fleming. So that's a big mistake there from one of the GT Pro drivers. He'll get going again. He'll get the car re-rotated and into a straight line. But you'll now be behind all of the GT5 drivers, so no chance of being in any sort of battle with his own class.
Look at the way these gaps have come down, though. Ella Lloyd just not escaping from Sam Harvey. Sam Harvey on the previous lap matching her 10th for 10th and bringing with him, of course, his Zentech teammate Luke Garlick behind. So 3 for the lead now in the GT5 challenge. And is this going to be a challenge from Sam Harvey for the lead into the old hairpin? Remember, tried the move here on his teammate in the previous race and spun. So no great surprise to see him bail out of that particular opportunity. Now gets a shove from his teammate as they head up the hill. Different liveries on those cars because both drivers will bring their own sponsorship deals to the championship, but they are running out of the same warning. Harvey to the outside of Ella Lloyd. Big wiggle there on the dirty side of the road. That opens the door for Luke Garlick, and the race 2 winner is into second place.
Yep. As we see Luke Garlick, he'll be the one who's now breathing down the neck of Ella Lloyd. Ella Lloyd was able to run away with a little bit of a lead before this restart, and now Luke Garlick is here to play, and he's not going to mess around either. The number 71 is going to be fast and fierce as they go down towards the S's here. Number 71 and the number 28 in pursuit right now. As you can see, down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Is this an overtaking opportunity for Luke Garlick? He's definitely closer than ever under braking. You can see Ella Lloyd not knowing what to do under braking, kind of keeping it in the middle of the track there as they go down towards Goddard. Luke Garlick just applying as much pressure as possible, waiting for a mistake, waiting for an opportunity to get the move done.
Colin White has just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:37.0. It's not the fastest lap of the weekend, so no new lap record for Colin, but he was a full 4/10 quicker than the race leader that time. He's got 2 laps now to try and find a way past Conor Garlick for the victory. Again, you don't know where to look. You need 3 sets of eyes to follow all of the action in this race. This is the GT5 lead battle heading through Redgate. We've got 3 cars for the lead in GTP. The same situation in the GT5s, and Luke Garlick is on a bit of a roll now at Donington Park, isn't he? Ella Lloyd just determined to try and bring one of these races home with a victory, but Luke Garlick, having had a taste of the winner's champagne in the previous race, wants a repeat of that experience. Down through the old hairpin he goes. He picks up the slipstream up the hill and might be close enough to have a go into McLean's.
Yep, Luke Garlick just waiting for the opportunity to appear in front of him, and he will pounce as soon as possible. The EU tags car still going around right now, in behind Ella Lloyd as we go back up the hill towards the top end of the circuit. Obviously the highest point on the circuit as well, and now we go on the descent down the hill towards the S's. Ella Lloyd still in the lead right now, but does she go defensive? Keeps it middle of the track. She knows that Luke Garlick is a threat right now, but she goes back to the racing line before we go down into the S's. Number 28 using all the track of it. Oh, big mistake there. And the front of the car coming flying off there of Luke Garlick, and it's all falling apart there. Just one mistake, just inches too tight there into the first part of the S's, and it's all falling apart.
Quite literally, that car is a mess. It's pulled hoses out of the engine as well. His day done immediately, all because he clipped that tyre stack on the inside of the chicane. Now, surely that does hand the victory to Ella Lloyd. Sam Harvey, I was about to mention, was dropping back on that lap, which means that we can focus on the battle for the GTP lead. Less than a lap to go, and Conor Garlick has less than half a second in hand over Colin White second, with Carl Garnett and Callum Davis waiting to pick up the pieces if the opportunity arises. There is Luke Garlick. Well, sadly, a race that came to him on the final lap earlier on in the day has very much got away from him this time in race number 3. up towards Coppice then. Final lap of the race, and Conor Garlick's car just looked a bit out of shape there, turning into the right-hander. Colin White starting to turn the screws now, really applying the pressure, but is he going to be close enough? Realistically, 2 more overtaking opportunities to go. Not really the chicane, but the 2 hairpins that come after it. Can Colin White get close enough, though, to capitalise on that? Needs full commitment through the chicane, and actually, well, talk about full commitment, there goes Callum Davis straight through the gravel trap. A bit too much commitment maybe under braking. Conor Garlick, though, nailed the chicane. Now down into the braking zone at the Melbourne hairpin. White just not quite close enough. He's tantalisingly close to the back of the number 63 car, but I don't think he's quite going to get there. One more turn between Conor Garlick and race victory here in the 3rd race of the weekend at what's been a sensational event at Donington Park for the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. Conor Garlick comes across the line. He will claim the race victory in race 3, but only just. Colin White and Carl Garnett both within a second at the flag of the race winner, whilst Callum Davis' last lap mistake means that he's a further 4 seconds back in 4th position. Here comes Ella Lloyd. Well, arguably could have been a triple race victory from Donington Park, but she'll be quite grateful, I think, to leave here with 1 race victory. She led both of the previous encounters this weekend, but this one she manages to lead when it really matters. Into Goddard's corner she comes, having seen off the challenges from Luke Garlick and Sam Harvey in this 3rd race. It is victory in race number 3 for Ella Lloyd. The number 28 car comes through, and Zentek Motorsport can celebrate a 1-2 finish, albeit not quite the 1-2-3 that it looked as though it may at one point have been. So through across the line goes Ella Lloyd. Fantastic action all around this. The moment, look at Luke Garlick's car in second. Bang into that tyre stack. A lot of damage done. It instantly pulls the front bodywork loose. Then he bounces over the curb. It catches on that as well. And I think it's that secondary hit that pulls the hoses out of the engine. Wait for it, wait for it. Bits of plastic and bodywork flying. And there, look, the radiator actually getting pulled off completely. Stunning camera work there from our slow-mo camera operator down at the chicane. That is, well, a pretty gruesome sight if you are Luke Garlick or Zentek Motorsport, but an intriguing look at a Ginetta G40 disassembling itself down at the chicane there.
Some pretty coloured, some cooling coming out of the, what looked like the radiator there being ripped off the front of the car. That was a great slow-mo there. You just saw all of the components as soon as that second impact over that second bump of the curbs, all just flying apart, coming loose. And I think it's fair to say that that car was left in a steaming hot mess.
It was indeed, and that is going to be more repair work for Zentek, who've had a bit to do already this weekend, and with only a few days before they rock up at Silverstone for the Ginetta Festival. That is going to be a busy few days, a few sleepless nights perhaps coming for the Zentek crew. In the AM class, by the way, sort of forgot about this once Pablo Jecquier went out of the race, but it is a victory for Balsidou. He himself, as you can tell, has a few stories to tell after that race, with damage to the left front corner of his G40, but he does come home victorious. In fact, damage to the back of the car as well, but that's Balsidou for you. Always an exciting driver to watch, and he claims the AM class win in the Ginetta GT5 Championship. So confirmation then, provisionally at least, of the result for race 3 in the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. Conor Garlick the winner for Zentek Motorsport, whilst Colin White gave that a really good go, has to settle for second. Carl Garnett third, Callum Davis fourth, after some mysterious problem when he was in the lead of the race midway through. Then it was Leona Theobald with Ella Lloyd claiming the victory in dramatic fashion for Zentek in the GT5. Zentek winning in both classes in the end. Sam Harvey second in the GT5s, while Sean Fleming, the G56 driver, was 8th overall. Then it was Karim Sekat and Balsidou, the AM winner within the GT5 contingent. Lexi Belk, meanwhile, the last finish, and we lost Luke Garlick there with that dramatic moment at the chicane. Pablo Jecquier into the gravel at Coppice, and Luke Reed, for reasons unknown, was unable to take the start. So championship leader Luke Reed then will leave Donington Park still with his points lead intact, but of course it has diminished significantly from where it once was. Highlights then of our final Ginetta action of the weekend. The Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship race got underway, minus the points leader Luke Reed, who had pulled over at the end of the green flag lap. It was therefore Carl Garnett who got the best start and led the field into Redgate Corner. Second place was Conor Garlick, and Leona Theobald briefly dropped into third position. She would sadly have a rotation before the end of the opening lap, and that would send her down the order. This was it, a big lock-up into the Melbourne hairpin, perhaps too much brake bias to the rear. Either way around she went, and she fell well some way off the back of what was a sensational four-way battle for the race lead. Carl Garnett held it, Conor Garlick wanted it, and in the end Callum Davis would briefly end up in the race lead, but sadly his race would very shortly start to unravel. It was spectacularly good racing. Davis picking his way through the pack, got to the inside of Carl Garnett into the right-hander at McLean's. At this point his car looked absolutely fine, but very shortly after this we noticed bodywork hanging loose at the front of the leading car, and then this humongous lock-up down into the Melbourne hairpin suggested that something was not right on the right front corner. That mistake then let Conor Garlick claim the race lead, and it looked as though he was going to escape. In the GT5s, Ella Lloyd had consistent pressure from Luke Garlick, but this big moment on the penultimate lap of the race meant that Luke Garlick's race came to a very dramatic and spectacular end. Lots of damage done to the front of the number 71 car after clipping the tyre stack through the chicane, and that then allowed Ella Lloyd to pull into a fairly comfortable victory. After a brief safety car interlude, it was a victory for Conor Garlick. He fended off the charging Colin White in the closing stages to get a race victory, his first of the 2023 campaign, with Ella Lloyd victorious in the GT5s.